So I'm here today with Dr. Betsy McCaughey, and I have been talking with her about Obamacare's Medicaid expansion and told her about how this week coming up, the New Hampshire legislature is considering passing the bill. It's an extension of the former bill that was sunsetted, or should be. Dr. McCaughey, please explain to the people of New Hampshire why we shouldn't have this bill passed.
Well, there are two major reasons. The first is, the more that Medicaid is expanded, the higher your health premiums will go in the private sector. Because Medicaid pays a hospital on average 86 cents for every dollar of care. In other words, it shortchanges the hospital. For the hospital to make that up, the hospital has to raise the cost of care, raise what they charge people in the private sector. So they overcharge the people in the private sector to offset the loss. And that means that your insurance company has to overcharge you. The second reason is that you as taxpayers are going to be forced to pay much more. Obamacare says that the federal government is going to pick up the cost of expanding Medicaid. 100% for the first few years and 90% thereafter. But it's a lie. Every single proposal to balance the budget in Washington, D.C. includes breaking that promise. Politicians always break their promises. And when that promise is broken, it will impose on the state of New Hampshire such a large cost that you won't have any state money left for roads, for school aid. It will all be going to Medicaid. It will bankrupt the state.
And in the case where they don't decide to, take from Peter to give to Paul, New Hampshire doesn't have an income or sales tax. Would that be the other route they'd have to take?
Oh, of course, they would have to raise taxes or apply new taxes in order to fund this expansion of Medicaid, because I guarantee you the federal government is not going to pay 90% of the cost. Every budget reform plan in Washington already includes breaking that promise.
And haven't they already broken that promise with both Medicaid and Medicare in the past?
Well, Medicare has no state component, so forget Medicare. But Medicaid, there have been many broken promises with Medicaid, but this promise embedded in the Obama health law will, in fact, bankrupt the states that expand Medicaid. It's a certainty.
So the best thing would be to not pass Obamacare's Medicaid expansion.
Do not continue to expand Medicaid, no.
And I'm not sure if the people of New Hampshire, I know some understand, but I'm not sure the people understand how important this is.
Well, this is going to clobber the residents of New Hampshire in two ways. First of all, it's going to push your private insurance premiums higher and higher and higher, and they're already soaring. And secondly, it's going to leave the state of New Hampshire in financial distress, so that the state will have to raise taxes or apply new taxes like a sales tax or an income tax.
Thank you so much, Betsy. And you wrote a book. Will you tell people about your book and where they can find it?
Well, it's called Beating Obamacare 2014. It's available on Amazon or in any bookstore.
And I know, and part of that you did write specifically about Medicaid expansion as well.
Yes, there's a whole chapter on the Medicaid expansion and why it will betray the taxpayers of New Hampshire and also the families who have to pay for private health insurance.
Thank you so much for your help. I will keep you posted on what happens, and we really appreciate your fighting for us.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
I love coming to New Hampshire. I've been 14 times in the last 2 years just to talk about Obamacare.
And you've done an amazing job, just like your speech at today, which I will also link to in this story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.